today we've got a special surprise because we're in New York. Hi everyone, I'm Ugo Renze with Onyx Property Consultants powered by Keller Williams. I am super excited to be here today. If you're new to my YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe because I'm putting out weekly video talking about all things usually London real estate related. Today we've got a special surprise because we're in New York and we're part of Keller Williams, and I am joined by Matthew Steer and Rachel Kelly of the Steer Kelly team in New York City. So thank you, Matthew and Rachel, for joining us today. Super excited.
It's good to see you.
The reason I wanted to have this special show is because so much of being part of Keller Williams is we're part of this international network of agents, and Rachel and Matthew are some of the top agents in New York. And I think with London being a global city, as is New York, there's a lot of overlap. So tell me a little bit, what's happening in New York City right now? What's overall the sentiment? What's happening in terms of the overall real estate market right now?
Flavor?
Yeah, it's been, I think it's considered at this point mostly a buyer's market.
Okay.
It's due to a few different factors. There's oversupply.
Okay.
The developers have built quite a bit. So there's
a lot of new stock in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's over 7,400 units just in Manhattan alone.
Okay.
So that's had an effect on price and on days on market.
When did that shift start to happen, do you think?
I think I felt it viscerally January 2018, and that was in big part due to the Trump tax bill.
Okay. And
New Yorkers didn't get as much of the deductions as they used to owning real estate here, so everything got much more expensive in terms of your yearly cost.
We're seeing some of the same dynamics in London as well. I mean, we've had some stamp duty changes that have dramatically shifted our market. So that's a tax on the purchase. Mm-hmm. So some of these policies have real world effects in terms of buyer appetite and things like that, what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think until people started actually filing their taxes in 2019, they didn't fully feel confident about the ramifications of it. But once they did start filing, also interest rates stayed low, so we started to see buyers getting back in the market
once
again.
they got comfortable with what the picture of the landscape looks like.
And some of these developers with all this oversupply, you can negotiate the price, which was impossible in years before, and you can also get a bunch of free stuff.
So that is some of the things now. So whereas developers might not be, reducing the asking price initially, they might be willing to add more amenities and things like that.
They don't want to reduce the asking price any more than they have to because it's going to show
up.
Right? Yeah. So they're going to do things like contribute. They'll pay the New York City and state transfer taxes, or they might pay in some cases the mansion tax, or give you a storage unit.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Or a parking spot, or something that you can't really record.
Okay.
But adds value.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can get $200,000 worth of incentives real quick.
Yeah. Which is why, again, working with an agent is really, so those things that you can go after every little thing and make sure that your buyers are getting
and
the
you have to
best
push
value.
really hard, and we both experienced this recently, where you'll send in your first offer, and the developer being work against on the other side with some pretty large developers, and they'll just shove it back across the table with very little reduction. You just have to shove it right back. and
it's kind of fun.
It is, because once you understand how this works, you really can do a nice job for your client.
Are you finding any other trends right now? Just really, what are buyers generally looking for right now, or what are developers offering typically?
I've noticed, because we have been looking so much at new developments, that the trend is now to get into a very specific design. You want to stand out in the crowd. So I'm seeing like these beautiful black stones with like this amber flash through it, and there's like we're moving away from the neutral grays and whites. Okay. That's just kind of like been there, done that. Is this on the exterior
as well as the interior, or
within a little bit? Yeah, because there's a new condo in Chelsea that has this green and rose brass or something exterior, so it stands out, and I think they want it to become kind of like, oh, you live in that building.
Yeah, it's very iconic, like iconic.
Yeah, and I think understanding, there's something like 40 new developments came on the market last fall, and it was like 38 in the spring. last year.
That's
so
a lot.
They just keep coming, right?
Yeah.
So understanding which ones are the ones you should be paying attention to is incredibly important. And some of the things that differentiate one from another is who's the architect. Obviously, like always, it's location. Who's the developer? You've got to know, and especially as the market gets a little bit saturated, you want to be really confident that that developer is going to be moving forward and closing all those apartments. And the bank's not going to be taking it back from them. And so you really pay a lot of attention to looking at the team.
Right, which never happened before.
Yeah.
It was just product, and price. But now
The architect thing has become a big deal.
It's become a big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I used to be a banker, real estate banker, and that's one of the things when we were financing was looking at that team, and I think it's so important because when the financial crisis hit, you found that those who didn't really know what they're doing or didn't really know how to navigate that very quickly were the ones handing back those keys. And
right.
So again, when you're now in this position as a buyer to assessing everything, it's really important looking at that.
And sellers want to know, buyers want to know right now when they're buying into a building that's maybe 60% sold, they want to know that it's going to complete.
It's going to complete.
They may be having closings already and everything. They want to know that this is going to go the whole distance.
Friendship, just a little bit, is in terms of how we came to know each other, in terms of relationships. For you, in terms of growing your business and being agents in this market, how do you distinguish yourself in terms of the team or the product or the service, in terms of how you work with people, or what do you feel like is most important when you're working with your buyers and sellers in terms of your service?
I think for us, we're pretty aligned in making sure we concentrate on a small group in our database and just love on them. Obviously, we call those our advocates, and we get a lot of business from them. Of course, you have to touch your database continuously and make contact with them, but really getting in the lives of 10 to 20 people in your database is really, I would say, we get 80% of our business from. So, and in New York City, everyone is so busy and things are expensive, so you can't just, ask the head of a bank to meet you for a cup of coffee. You probably have to curate some kind of special event, which, Matthew does a lot of.
Really, you guys do a great job at that.
So we take such pride in, we'll get a call going who's our person in Minneapolis? And I'm like, oh, it's nice that you're calling us to ask us,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think then that also transfers in terms of how you work with your clients, right? Because it's like
Absolutely.
you come prepared, you're doing your work, but you're having fun at it, and you're doing work that you enjoy, right? And because you've got those great connections as well, it also helps, I'm sure, when you're finding a deal for your client or knowing the best person if you need a service or a provider or something like that. You've got a good network of people who can.
That's a big part of it too, in terms of giving. Everybody talks about giving a really good customer experience, but in New York, at least, it's our attorneys that we use. It's architects that we know. It's zoning attorneys. People who are capable of creating different kinds of reports that are necessary. So having a fleshed out team that we've worked with for a long time really adds value to our
Trust
clients.
is so important. Trust is everything. So you have to spend time with these people, and then when they refer them to their friends, they already have that trust plugged in.
That you're going to take good care of them. And I say to my clients so often, it's like, yes, I'm doing this for the money, but I don't have the luxury if I don't do a good job for you, because you came from someone, and if I don't do a good job for you, then that means that whole is completely cut off.
Yeah. Right.
But if you feel like you're getting somebody who's been honest with you the entire way, then that's something
And that's a big part of our communication with our
pride
clients, is
myself
that we communicate. We're very high touch with our clients. So we may deliver good news, but we will deliver bad news. And what we will do is we'll check in multiple times a week if that's an appropriate situation for that client. So even if you're delivering news like things aren't moving right now in New York City as quickly as they were,
it's not a surprise because you've been
they are informed every step of the way what's going on. Radio silence is a bad idea.
So. And I know also your listing presentations, the quality of what you put into that and the diligence of that, people really feel, I think, educated when you're going into even working with them, right, to understand.
Yeah, we put a lot of time into our
seen
pictures.
that.
Yeah.
I still admit to that, believe me. You recognize it in my listing. So
you've been in them.
Yes, and I think that's important, and that was actually leading to my next question about being part of Keller Williams and what that kind of brings. And I think certainly for me, it's just having this conversation, right? We've been on conference calls together talking about the difference between the London market and the New York City market. And I think those high net worths that are global, right? It's a source of advantage to me to be able to say, I have a team, I have somebody I can put you in front of if you're considering New York, or if you're considering LA, or if you're considering Chicago, or some of these other global cities. And I think it's not just saying it, but it's demonstrating it. You know, we meet up, we have conversations, and genuinely like that. So do you find the same? Or obviously,
Absolutely. It's probably the most impactful part of our pitch. We have a page of your beautiful faces and your cities and names underneath it. It's to kind of show these are real people and we can call them right now.
Yeah, and as you know, this is kind of a service we do for one another, right? If you needed one of us to pick up the telephone and you're going on a listing pitch, Rachel and I, or both of us, would pick up the phone and be on that call. And it changes it. Keller Williams, as far as I'm aware, is the only company that actually is international in this sense, and is a global company. So it's important. So we can have somebody saying that they interested in something in Los Angeles coming here, we can call our friend there, get them on the telephone, call yourself, and have that kind of high-level communication.
And the tech behind this company now, I think, is phenomenal. And, you know, so many companies are using tech to almost make the individual irrelevant, which I love about Keller Williams is the tech enabling the agent, right?
Absolutely.
And so the core of it's still me and the personality, but you can rest assured that I've got the latest technology behind me to give my clients information. So,
well, you know, Gary knows what he's doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Don't mess with genius.
Absolutely. So, well, that's, I think, where we're going to wrap up our conversation for today. I want to thank you both. I think it's been really helpful. If you have any questions about the New York City real estate market, you now know who to reach out to. I'm going to include all their links below on this YouTube video. And obviously, if you want to connect with me in London, you can reach out, make sure to subscribe, and find us on YouTube. That's Ugo Arenze with Onyx Property Consultants, powered by Keller Williams, here in New York City. Bye for now.